there's too many coincidences. At the end of the day, Dumont did not want Luka, man. They just didn't want to pay that luxury tax. It's okay, Dumont. Like, he didn't want Luka. He don't care about winning no fucking championship. They did business. Mark Cuban feels guilty for selling this team, but he knew exactly who he sold the team to. In his world, he won. He bought the team for X amount of price. He sold it for double that price, quadruple that price. He won, but he feels fucking guilty, man. He feels fucking guilty. Even Tim McMahon exposed that. Mark Cuban, as soon as he sold the team, he went to the locker room and told the team that nothing was gonna change. Like, this whole shit it's a mess, man. It is a fucking mess down there. And it's just, this is what it is now. Private equity is coming into the league very slowly. You got a new class of NBA owners. It's not like the old class with like Dr. Buss and Jeannie Buss and her family, where they strive to win championships. It's not that class of billionaires coming into the league. These teams are just like, it's like an investment with upside, because the fan loyalty, they're taking advantage of it. They're like, oh, these fans are loyal. That's why Dumont could raise ticket prices 8% after trading away Luka, because these are just business people.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know what's your thoughts on that, because the thing is, like, it's real hard. I could only imagine if you're a Mavericks fan, that you grew up with the Dirk days and then you transition to Luka. Your team has been competitive for the most part. But what happens when that branding no longer applies? Like, once Mark Cuban sold the team, that shit was done. Now it's almost like they don't see it, but there's like a cloud, and that cloud looks like the Pelicans. It's the Pelicans aura around the Dallas Mavericks. They're the new Pelicans of the Southwest, and it has nothing to do with the basketball team. It's because of the ownership. It's just too many voices, man, in Dumont's ear. There's just no responsibility. There's just no direction. This shit is a mess. It is a mess, and it doesn't look like it's gonna get fixed anytime soon, because look at the power Jason Kidd has now. Everyone knows he has more power than just being a coach. It's a weird thing. And Mark Cuban is in the building doing consulting. This shit is weird, man. It's a weird setup.
They're in a situation where it's ownership. Now you have a brand new ownership, right? And you have to look at it. Now it's a new era. It's not like the Dirk era. It's not the Cuban era or Donnie Nelson Jr. Now it's a brand new ownership. It's gonna take them time to figure it out. And the question is, will they figure it out? And if they're interested in figuring it out, or they're just looking to add the Mavericks onto their portfolio of things they own and make money out of in the real estate. But the matter with Patrick Dumont, he's in charge of the basketball role. So you would think Madeline Albright would, Marion Edelson, she would rather put someone who has the basketball experience in the position of governor of the team.
But wait, I want to go back to your point where you said they're trying to figure it out. Do you really think they're trying to figure it out, or right now Dumont's been forced to be in a position where he has to put the appearance like he's trying to figure it out? Because it's just right now this team looks like a means to an end.
I'm looking at it what's apparent right now, right? I don't know what's happening in the backlog of discussions in the front office, but Patrick Dumont, it seems like he has no clue what he's doing in the basketball sphere. I believe he's related to Marion Edelson by marriage or by direct relations, but it seems like they hired him based off nepotism or based off favoritism. I don't know, but it seems like he has no clue what basketball is or what Luka was and how much of a value Luka holds in basketball.
Wait, hold on.
And so
hold on. Perfect. You said that, right? Think about this. This is a guy who graduated from Columbia with an MBA. This is a multi-billion-dollar family. Who spends $3.5 billion and goes into something blind, unless that purchase is really a means for something else? You just don't go into something that blindly. Like, there's way too many bullshit stories going around. This one kid that talks to Dumont after putting up a middle finger, and Dumont says, "Yeah, I'm sorry for trading Luka. I feel guilty." Like, what is this bullshit? All these stories coming out. This is all propaganda, man. Let's just keep it a buck here.
I don't buy that.
Like, nobody in the media is keeping it honest.
Like I don't buy that Disney store to keep it real with you.
Yeah, it's just what is that? Like, oh, he doesn't talk to anyone in the media, express any kind of regret for trading Luka. Remember when he said, "Oh, Shaq, we need guys that are gonna stay in shape like Shaq." Like the references he's making doesn't even make any sense. And then all of a sudden, he can give the exclusive scoop to some kid. I find that hard to
Yeah, no,
believe, man.
it's bullshit, man. It's a fake story. But with Patrick Dumas, bro, it's new ownerships. Some of they try to come in cheap. 3 billion is they spent already 3 billion. Now they're looking at saving that money, right? And you brought up Steve Ballmer. You use Ballmer as an example, but one thing you got to get Ballmer. It's yeah, sure he had other other goals outside of the NBA and the hopes of real estate, and obviously he's also increased like the media department of the Intuit Dome, right, with the speakers and all that stuff. But he still kept the main things that sell the Clippers apart, like intact. The Lob City was still intact. Blake, Chris Paul, they were intact. When Chris Paul's time was over, he extended Blake because he knew, hey, we need to sell tickets. When he saw a chance to pivot, he did. He got Kawhi. So it's a much more smarter ownership on Ballmer's part. But the Edelman family, it doesn't seem like they were ever fans of basketball.
No, but
Like
look,
I get,
it was a full
yeah,
commitment by Ballmer, though. It was a full commitment because think about it.
fan.
Before he got approved for the land, when he went after Kawhi and everything, look, we come to find out this is almost a $500 million cap circumvention to make sure that he secured the star for when he opened up this new arena. He was willing to go that far. But I think the Dumont family, it's almost like an aura of nonchalantness. It's done on purpose, man. This is done on purpose. The Dallas Mavericks are really a means to an end. You ever see the cartoon where you ever seen the Lion King when the pride went hungry and they were picking on the bones when Simba
Yeah,
came back? That's basically the Dumont family. They're going to pimp that Dallas Mavericks that Dallas Mavericks logo until they get their casino. There's business people that are like that. They're there. Mark Cuban knows this. That's the part he's not saying out loud. He knows who he sold the team to. And in a second, we're going to hear from Mark Cuban because he got real defensive when he got pressed about it too. But they're there to pick the bones because they're using the Mavericks as a means to an end. And right now we have a new class of owners, and we also have private equity coming in slowly at the same time, and they're going to pimp out fan loyalty. They're going to pimp that out. They understand. I know the Dumont family don't understand basketball, but they do understand that the product that they have, that's the Dallas Mavericks, has fan loyalty, which they can trade away Luka, then raise the prices 8%. Make that announcement within like what, a month and a half later after trading Luka. So all the signs are there. The Dallas Mavericks fans just have to accept it. All the signs are there.
but also you look at it with the Mavericks right now, bro. It's like I said, it's a ownership that are not basketball fans, bro. It's what it comes down to. They're fans of the books, making that work, obviously making the real estate thing work. But I just don't think they're ready for the backlash they would face from NBA fans in general, especially the Mavericks, right? They're one of those teams that sold pretty well. Yeah, fans come by, fans come go. They built a strong basketball culture. Dallas is a strong sporting culture, whether baseball, football, hockey. So I think what they're hoping for, it's fans would accept a new form of a new organization, new everything. But what they're getting now, it's a lot of pushback from just about everyone. They're getting pushback from fans, media. Now, even players, bro. Anthony Davis has not looked really locked in since coming to Dallas. This is someone I can argue is a top 15, top 20 player, but
Yeah, but
since he's been in a Maverick uniform, it seems like he doesn't fit. It
but
seems
they
like he's
all
not
but
really
they
bought
all
into what
see
they're
they
trying to
all
sell.
see the game. They all see the game. They're all in the inside. They see the game. They understand it. This owner is here to pick the bones of the Mavericks. Like it's almost
Yeah,
like those mafia. What is it? The Sopranos. You ever see them pimp out
yeah,
the business and run up all the credit? That's what the
Yeah,
Mavs.
the Davies Casino, the
Yeah,
Davies Casino storyline.
that's what they're there for. That's what they're there for.
Yeah,
They're there to pimp out the Mavericks because owning an NBA team in Texas is like owning a medallion to a casino because you're gonna have the rights due to gambling once they open it up. So the Houston Rockets owner, the San Antonio Spurs owner,
yeah.
the
Tillman
Mavs
Fertitta,
owners.
same thing. Yep.
But the only
Tillman
difference is
Fertitta
though
and what?
the only
20,
difference is those owners don't necessarily come from the casino background. Like this family, politically connected, so far they have struggled in Texas so far to kind of get their way, but eventually I'm pretty sure they're going to get their way, but it's going a lot slower than expected. But after spending $3.5 billion on this team, come on, man. You're facing what Luka. Luka had a 5-year extension coming up for $345 million. That's $70 million a year. That's just for Luka. That's before you extend Kyrie, and your salary before even extending Luka or Kyrie was already up to 175. So they were facing a luxury tax bill of $100 million a year. That's
yeah.
win or lose. Win or lose. Luka get hurt or not. They were facing $100 million luxury tax bill. I'm gonna send you two screenshots real quick and just remind you of the luxury tax bills that were due last season from teams like the Phoenix Suns, the Dallas Mavericks before they traded Luka. They already owed $5 million right before they traded Luka of luxury tax. They already owed $5 million. So the Warriors owed 17, Nuggets owed 20, Bucks owed 28. The Timberwolves owed $83 million when they had Karl Anthony Towns. The Suns with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, they owed $150 million in luxury tax. And they were losing. So the position the Suns were in is the same position the Mavs were potentially in. And knowing that Patrick Dumont has an MBA, I know he's not an idiot. Looking at that potential luxury tax bill, and at the same time knowing that they don't know what the fuck they're doing, that they just took over this NBA team to justify themselves getting that casino. This is the part that does not, I'm upset that this is the part that does not get talked about in the media. They all act like they don't know. This is what the Mavs were facing.
Yes.
There's not a peep out of anyone that works for the bigger, like the ESPNs, the Bleacher Reports. Nobody's bringing this up. They got rid of Luka, man. They didn't want to pay it. They didn't want to
Yeah, they
pay
don't,
it.
bro. I mean, it's a given. Obviously, they didn't want to pay Luka. Why else would you trade a top 5 player in the world for what? And make it exclusive about his weight?
So Nico Harrison is the fall guy, but
He's a scapegoat.
the fans should not be yelling fire Nico. They should be yelling Patrick Dumont's name. That's who.
Dumont's owner, bro.
Hey,
That's gonna be a whole trust board. Like, that's gonna be a whole board committee willing to throw him out. And he's, like I said, he's related to the Adelson family. They're not throwing him out.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is the fans, they're pointing their anger at the fall guy, but it amazes me how all these little stories leak out, right? All these little stories leak out, but look at everything we just pointed out. The incoming luxury tax bill, the way that this trade never made sense, it even fit. And then Anthony Davis is injury prone and his age, right? The timeline is off, right? And then also mainly the fact that the Dallas Mavericks had to be good with Luka for the next couple years because they already owed the Thunder, the Rockets, and the Spurs their draft picks until 2030. All their rivals who are already good, they owed them they couldn't suck. They couldn't afford to suck. Knowing all these things and you still give away Luka? We're supposed to stand here and be like, fire Nico? Fire Nico? What about the guy with the NBA and his family just paid $3.5 billion? No one has asked him, hey, were you willing to pay that luxury tax bill on Luka every season? Even Mark Cuban brought up that incoming payment. He was like, oh, I'm just a middle class billionaire. I can't afford all this. The owning an NBA team is a different asset class.
Middle
Like
class.
nobody, yo,
He
it's
actually,
it amazes me. No one's bringing this up. That's part of like the larger mainstream sports media. Like they just don't even bring up the payments. They don't bring up the back end of the Dallas Mavericks. They don't pull up the cap sheets. Be like, yo, nothing makes sense here. Everything I just pointed out, from the draft picks going out to their rivals while their rivals are getting better, to Dumont just, oh my God, this shit is all over the place, man. I'm telling you, this shit is bad, man. It's bad. It's one of the worst. This has to be the worst trade in NBA history. Like, it's not even the worst trade in NBA history. This is the worst transfer ownership in NBA history. That's why Mark Cuban feels so fucking guilty. He knows who he sold the team to. In his world, in the world of business, Mark Cuban won. But the world of fandom and the brand of the Dallas Mavericks, everyone else lost. That's why he's sticking around. Who the hell cashes in for $3.5 billion and is sticking around through the mess? Because he feels guilty. He feels fucking guilty.
I don't think it's guilt, bro.
So what do you think it is? Because all he is a consultant. He could only advise. He doesn't have any final say.
Who, Patrick Dumont?
Mark
Nico
Cuban.
Harrison?
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban, bro. I think it's mostly just like Mavericks fan base pressure, to be honest with you, than it's actual guilt. Bro, you sold it for $3.5 billion. You've listed your reasons for it.
Bro,
like, come on, man.
And he's made
like,
1,000 appearances acting all sad and saying, "Oh, I didn't know," and "Oh, it's this, it's that." It's
bro,
who the hell?
PR bullshit.
He does not look like a winner. He does not look like someone who cashed out. He looks like someone that just made a transaction and he's having or maybe he's branding himself, because there's a lot of little lies. Oh, I had control. They were supposed to ask me. Oh, I wasn't advised. I would have never done that. There's so many clips of this dude talking about this fucking trade.
Bro, Cuban is a bullshitter. There's many reasons why he's a bullshitter.
Matter of fact, we might as well get to it, man. We might as well get to them pressing Cuban about lying. They pressed Mark Cuban about lying about having power after he sold the team. Oh, and he got fucking defensive as a motherfucker, man. They couldn't even edit that shit out.
So a year out.
The year before.
And what did he say?
He was shocked, right? I mean, he was surprised like everybody else was. But I gave him the same reasons that I've given you guys, that it just was time. It'd been 22 years at that point. I thought I was going to be in a position where I'd be able to continue to run the team. But it wasn't at that point I thought I'd be in a position to run the team, but I thought when I sold, as you guys know, but all the same reasons, my kids, estate, just the level of the way media and everything treats sports,
Sure.
And the other side of it was that I explained to him is, in the board of governors meetings, it went from being very entrepreneurial. What can we do to make the NBA better for fans, to how can we increase valuations?
Sure.
And those are two very different types of businesses. It went from, private equity is not allowed to private equity dominating.
And private equity will dominate, and they don't give a fuck about that fan loyalty. It's how much we could increase the valuations while pimping out that fan loyalty. That's exactly what's happening in Dallas. This is a quick side note.
Private equity is all about increasing, the valuation of the teams. And I would try to explain to people, like when I bought the Mavs for $285 in 2000, it was worth $285 in 2010 when we couldn't sell the New Orleans franchise. And the Sixers got bought for pretty much the same amount of money 10, 11 years later. And so, I think the NBA is losing a step on the entrepreneurial side and the fan side. Like the guys at the Warriors say, it's not show fun, it's show business.
Sure.
And I never ran it that way. And there were a lot of other individual owners that never ran it that way, but that's not the way it's being run today.
But wasn't the fact that you had this pre-existing relationship with the Adelsons, wasn't that a huge contributing factor that you could sell the team because you thought you knew?
No, not when I sent the email. No, it was just like that was there, and I didn't realize they had that kind of interest. I thought that I would just partner with them just to build a new arena.
Watch him get tight right here. He's gonna get mad right here. The interviewer is gonna keep pressing the question.
I didn't realize that it was at that point in time. I had no idea that they'd be interested in buying it. None.
So when you started to mention about the basketball operations portion of this, was it your understanding that once the team was sold that you would be in control? Yeah. Was that something that you wanted to have in writing when it came?
I did have it in writing. Look, I don't want to get into all this stuff again. Sure. Right? I've said all this stuff before. You know, go Mavs. You know, I'm still there for the Mavs. You know, I'm still positive about the franchise going forward. I'm still going to help all I can. But there's no reason to go through all that stuff again. Like I've said before, there was a clause in there that gave me the right to be in every meeting, every trade discussion, everything, and the NBA took that out.
Understood.
I just have to say, for the record, the NBA disputes that and says they did not. So I'm just.
Oh, I'll show it to you. You know, I'll show it to you later, right? It says you have the right.
They dispute the part about them saying they're the ones that took it out.
Who the hell do you think took it out? I mean, I've got the letter from my lawyer saying the NBA made us remove it.
So you're not motivated to follow up with them and say, why was this removed?
I don't give a fuck. At this point, it's done. I signed the contract. It's contract is signed. It was signed on the line that was dotted. You know, there's nothing I can do at this point in time to change any of it. So what's the point?
And he's right. He don't give a fuck. He cashed out. That's the part. Like when he expressed that, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, Mark, be real. Keep it a buck. You cashed out. So stop pretending, oh, I'm a consultant. Oh, they didn't tell me about Luka trading him. You cashed out, man. You didn't give a fuck. You know, right here, they confirmed it. He knew this family for a minute. He know what kind of business people they were. He knew. Mark Cuban knows who these people are and what are their real ambitions. They're going to use this team as a vehicle to get what they want.
Bro, it's billionaire hypocrisy Mark Cuban publicly displayed. I think it has more to do with basketball than it has to do with basketball. Obviously, the Edelman family is associated with Donald Trump. You know, obviously throughout this administration, Mark Cuban has presented himself as to be a full-blooded liberal, right? So now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of talk about his own character and who he's willing to deal with and surround himself with. You know, he's painted himself as like kind of the liberal billionaire. Now the question's going to be like, oh, Mark, you're willing to sell it to someone that's...
But at the end of the day, Green has no party. Green
has no party. But that's what I'm saying, right? But you know, you have to fool someone. You have to sell it to your base who are eventually going to question like, yo, you claim to be pro-liberal, pro-Democrats, whatever, but you're willing to sell it to the most hardcore, red-blooded Republican. Also with basketball, you know, with him, it's all about fan favoritism, right? You know, he doesn't want that Dallas, you know, to turn to like any future business he has in Dallas. He doesn't want to harm the money that comes in or the money he's going to make in the future. So what? You throw in the buyers under the bus. Mark Cuban knew 100% what he was doing. Mm-hmm. Mark Cuban, he was a willing participant. It isn't like a handshake deal. This took months and involved lawyers, parties bigger than Mark Cuban and the Edelman families and the Dumonts and all them.
Yeah, and, so plus when they make deals like this, right, they have to get to know the people. Because Mark Cuban has to introduce, the other owners have to approve them into that community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so at the end of the day, Mark knows these people' real ambitions. And I know deep down inside, he won't say it out loud. It did not shock him when they traded Luka. Because he was avoiding being part of the Mavericks when that payment came due of paying Luka the 5-year, $345 million Supermax.
He talked about it on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz and all those guys. So, like, I've seen interviews where he's talked about before the Luka trade, he's gleeing about the new owners, welcoming them, normalizing them within sports fans, right? But then now it's easy to kind of condemn them or throw them under the bus for the fact that mattered. I also think his whole goal is, you still need Maverick fans to come to those games, right? Whether Mark Cuban or not, because, that's, even if he sold it, that's still him. He's part of Dallas Mavericks forever. So you still need people to buy the tickets and all that stuff. So Mark Cuban, and I also think he's a minority owner, right?
Yeah, he's a minority owner. Well, allegedly, I just put that as allegedly because honestly, it's been so many lies. I don't even know what to believe because he lied in this interview right here. The interviewer was right. The NBA said that that language was never in those contracts, so they don't know where the fuck this is coming from.
But I'm talking surface level. Surface level from what we know, right? That he owns a certain portion of the team.
Yeah, they said about 27%.
So by surface level, we'll give him benefit of the doubt or whatever that he does own the team, even if we don't know if it's true or not. So he has a incentive in getting fans to come to the games. He's gonna hype up the Mavericks, whatever have you. So that's Mark Cuban's end goal, bro. It's to make a profit. He doesn't give a shit about they trade Luka or don't trade Luka. Like, I'm sure he had a good relationship with Luka, but come on, man. You sold the team. You knew who you sold it to. You normalized him within your own fan base. There was optimism. You sold them at the peak of the Mavericks. They went to the finals. Like, you know what you were doing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't act stupid or oblivious. I honestly think things like NBA fans are stupid, man. That's what it comes down to.
They do, but
Because
once again, the problem with Cuban is that he branded himself with the Mavs, right? And he's won in his world. He cashed out. He did his thing, but look at the
Bro,
family
he's won
he
in
sold
every
it
world.
to.
What world did he not win in? Like, what world did he not win in? Like, we're not gonna act like Mark Cuban 100% gives a fuck about basketball. If it wasn't a profitable league, he wouldn't have put his foot in
But
regardless.
right here in this interview, the real him came out when he said, "I don't give a fuck." That's the
No,
real
he
Mark
doesn't give
right
a
there.
fuck.
That's the real way he feels about this whole situation.
Dude, this is Mark Cuban is one of many billionaires, bro. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
he's made his money. He left.
Yep. Like he said,
The
I didn't give a
Mavericks are
fuck.
fun.
I signed the contract.
Yeah,
That's what he said. I don't
he
give
signed
a
the
fuck.
contract, bro. He's a businessman. He's a crude capitalist. Like, the whole idea now, like I said, it's about politics and it's about the kind of his reputation within Dallas and his future endeavors and whatever business he wants to open up in Dallas.
Which is the
That's what he's
pharmaceuticals.
conscious
Which is
about.
the pharmaceuticals. You're right.
Yeah. So, for him, it's like, oh shit, I can't have people like, because Mark Cuban has hinted at politics. I hope he doesn't run. But if he runs, he wants to run under Democrats. This will be something they'll probably slander him on. Sell him to the Edelman family or Edelson family, whichever, Marion Edelson,
Yeah.
Edelman, one of those two. That's gonna come up within political circles.
But
Basketball circles, his legacy is gonna be questionable selling to those families and ruining a very well built organization. So, and business wise, Dallas fans, maybe they're forgiving, I don't know. But that also comes into question. So I think it's more about protecting his brand and his future endeavors than it is
yeah.
about giving a shit about Luka trade.
But going back to Dallas fans too, man. It's because this is mainly who I feel bad for, and no one's really speaking up for them because, like Cuban said, everything is about the evaluation. So right now, their fandom is on a spreadsheet, and it says, "Hey, we got to raise tickets 8% after trading away Luka." And also, there's a culture that kind of started with Mark Cuban that's festering behind the scenes in Dallas. And it's one of the reasons why it's going to kind of hinder them from being successful going forward with Dumont being there. And that is when Mark Cuban was there, he hired Nico Harrison, but he hired him almost as like I don't want to say a mule in his position, but he didn't have full power. And so when Dumont came through and bought the team, Harrison wanted to report and just have a chain of command directly through Dumont. So he kind of tried to curve Mark Cuban because he was around sort of serving this fake consultant role. So instead of Nico Harrison kind of going through Mark Cuban, he told Dumont, let's just speak to me and you directly. I don't want to deal with Cuban. So right now, with the way Dumont kept Jason Kidd on the Mavericks instead of going to the Knicks in the offseason, Kidd has a lot more power than just head coach. So even though now Nico Harrison is gone, there's almost like a similar chain of command where there's like voices. There's like too many side voices. Like, I'm not the team president, but hey, let's just do this. Let's go in this direction. Trade this player. Like
That's
this
what happens.
culture. My bad. I just want to say this. This culture just Dumont hearing a bunch of side voices and giving guys more power. As far as like their opinions or what they think should go on. That has to get cut down, man. There has to be a team president, a GM. There has to be a more streamlined chain of command.
You need a proper infrastructure. We saw that with the Knicks for what, like close to 2 decades, man. Where it
Mhm.
was like Phil Jackson comes in, he doesn't know what the fuck. He's picking whoever he deems that it fits within
Yeah,
whatever he
James
wants to.
Dolan, Isaiah Thomas
James
years. Yep.
Dolan, Isaiah Thomas, you could talk Scott Perry, it's, all those guys, bro. You saw a lot of
CAA. Yep.
competition.
There was a lot of
Yeah,
there was always a lot of side voices in that building. Is one reason there was never a clear direction. And I'm telling you, behind
yeah,
the scenes in Dallas, it's lined up. Even with Nico Harrison fired, it's lined up the same way. This time it's going to be Jason Kidd. This time it's going
yes.
to be Jason Kidd, and it's a weird thing. They need to cut that off. You know, Dumont needs to cut that off by the nose, man.
But that's also Nico Harrison's fault. You were supposed to be the GM. You made a business decision.
No, but the
That's
thing is,
why
he was made GM without any real power. Because peep this, right? Now that Nico's fired, everything's coming out. They said Nico had no power. That Nico even blamed Cuban for Jalen Brunson letting him get away and trading
but
for
bro, that's
and
the
trade hold
easy
on,
scapegoat.
and trading for Christian Wood. Once again, Mark Cuban kind of served as like he used Nico as like the face, but he was making the decision. So Nico didn't really have like a clear path to stand firm and have the ability to make a decision. So he blamed he stated that's one of the reasons why Jalen Brunson got away, and they made a bad choice of signing Christian Wood, a player
Bro,
that
I
Jason Kidd already didn't want on the team.
but I genuinely think, bro, they're just scapegoating each other at that point, bro. Like Nico Harrison, regardless, you have to be fired. Either you're an idiot or incompetent, or you're weak and have no role in your team. You
No,
have to get fired at that
but
point.
what
Like,
no no
what else can you do?
what I'm telling you is what Tim McMahon has stated what's going on with Dallas internally. He stated that it's a well-known thing that when Nico Harrison was hired, but he was kind of clipped. His voice was clipped. It almost had to go through Cuban. Cuban really was kind of making decisions over him.
That's all ownerships and GMs, to be
No,
honest with you. What
no, but
every owner is a
it
part
was
of decision
different. It was
making.
different with Nico. Nico was always he was sort of like the only reason basically Tim McMahon was saying the only reason Nico was hired because he was a Nike rep and he had a lot of relationships with players. So he was supposed to help the Mavericks during free agency. But he wasn't really hired to make like firm roster decisions. See, that really wasn't what Cuban kind of really had in mind for him. You know what I mean?
And then
So
when Dumont and those family came in, right? He
the,
consolidated power to make roster changes, if I'm not wrong. He gave Klay Thompson like I assume. So what you're saying, he wasn't a part of a lot of the Mavericks decisions the past
it really went
like
through
past
Cuban.
two
The
seasons.
thing is that
Cuban was gone. Like what at the start of Nico Harrison's administration, we're talking what 2022 Western Conference Finals run.
okay.
And he leaves Mark
Let me tell
Fultz.
let me tell you the story
Yeah.
of how it happened because Tim McMahon spilled the beans on all of this. It's all out there. So basically, when Patrick Dumont bought the team, due to the fact of making the NBA Finals, that built up confidence in Nico Harrison. But it was like a false confidence because it was like, hey, look, we got to the finals. Let me go through Nico. And Nico used that to his advantage to convince Dumont that, hey, we don't have to talk to Cuban. I don't have to keep checking in with Cuban. Let me just talk to you and more of a chain of command. And that's one of the reasons why the Luka stuff kind of slipped past a lot of people. Like he kind of built up credibility because of that finals appearance when Dumont first bought the team.
Bro, I'm not saying what he like. Obviously, there's noise behind, you know, like there's noise everywhere, and he's following the noise, right? Now, do I believe that he might? Do I believe that he might not have control under Mark Cuban when it comes to roster construction? Bro, I half-heartedly believe in that. Sure, Mark Cuban maybe was more hands-on, but bro, roster construction as a GM, who else is doing it besides you? Who else is doing it beside the GM? That's their job. You're supposed to construct a roster. I don't believe that 100% Mark Cuban made every decision on everything. And also, like I said, Mark was out the picture by 2023, 2024. By then, you constructed that roster you took a lot of credit for in 2024. And, then obviously 2025, you decided to trade Luka, Grimes. You brought in some guys that you thought would fit under, like obviously Anthony Davis with the Nike rep.
Whoa,
So
hold on,
it's
hold
like,
on, hold on. You said
yeah.
he traded. In my opinion, Dumont traded Luka. It wasn't.
Oh, Dumont traded Luka, but man,
It wasn't
but
Nico.
it's not like,
This was
bro,
clearly
Nico.
business.
But Nico also had a role. Like Nico was the one talking to teams, right? It
No,
was Nico's responsibility.
Nico
to
was
talk
made the
to
face.
people.
Yeah, he probably negotiated,
But
but they were ready
Nico
to
was
trade
negotiating
Luka.
with Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka and Nico both agreed on that in their press conferences. Ownership played a huge role. But Nico was in the rooms where they're making those decisions at the end of the day. So for me, it's like, man, you as a GM, this is your job. You had no way in what decisions is being made final. And you obviously made the calls to make that trade. You didn't get anyone of value, at least close to Luka or a quarter of Luka. That's where it comes down to at the end of the day. You didn't get the draft picks. You didn't get a franchise building star. You got nothing off of the trade. You made the calls. Rob Pelinka and both Rob and Nico, they were talking for months that, we're willing to trade. And there was also rumors that Nico and Luka had their issues behind closed doors. So for me, it's like, it makes sense why Nico was a scapegoat. He represents a portion of the problem, but the overall problem, it's the Mavericks as a whole, from top to bottom, whether ownership or whoever comes in as GM, Jason Kidd, everyone's a problem, man. At that point, you have to clean out shop. At this point, or is unrealistic, but at this point, you might have to. If I'm the Dumont family, I fire everyone and start from fresh. But I do think Nico got the criticisms he deserves, because unfortunately, when you're the face, you're gonna face criticism. But there's a lot of incompetency on his end, if we're keeping it real. Especially like, okay, sure, the owners are like, we need to trade Luka, but man, you could have got a decent to good deal around it. And not only that, you took credit for the draft pick and making it seem like 1,000 IQ move. You lucked into that first round pick.
Facts.
Imagine Dallas get the 13, 14 pick, man. We'd be like, what the fuck?
This is man. I can't wait for the real official book to come out on this story, man. I'm telling you, there's just a lot more to it, and
yeah.
But the biggest losers is the Dallas Mavericks and their fandom. Their fandom's
the biggest loser, man. Nico's gonna walk with $1 million. Like, he got fired, bro. Now he's just he's gonna go to Cancun or to the Turco Islands and have a pina colada and enjoy the millions he's gonna make. Same with Mark Cuban, he's making billions. But let me add this: I think Mark and Nico, they're gonna keep throwing shots at each other, escaping accountability for what happened. Like, take my man, they're passing on information to him, obviously. They're going to keep, throwing jabs at each other. Obviously, Tim's sources are going to be from both parties. So they're going to keep throwing jabs at each other. Whether Nico's going to be like, I didn't construct the roster. Mark Cuban's going to be like, I, gave you control to construct the roster. They're both going to throw each other on the bus because they both know they're never going to face repercussions for it.
But,
the Mavericks are not...
It's interesting you just brought up Tim McMahon, because he also brought up the fact that... Mark Cuban's been, I'm trying to quote him exactly. He said Mark Cuban's been penny pinching ever since Jalen Brunson's deal came up. So he already knew that, he kind of hinted, he doesn't want to say, these guys never want to talk about the money. They were bills due. Wait, hold on. They were bills due. Even though Mark Cuban, quote unquote, is a billionaire, they were bills due. They were upcoming. And this guy bailed out, cashed out, and he's shocked that the new guy did not even understand the value of paying that $100 million luxury tax. Like this, I'm telling you, when Luka got traded, he was not that shocked, man. Come on, he was. But let's be honest,
Mark historically has been a cheap ass owner. We all love that he jumps up and argues with the refs. But man, you are a Knicks fan. You got Tyson Chandler straight off of a championship run, where he played a gigantic role as a rim protector. You talk about trading away Steve Nash. This is not the one-off thing. He has a history of trading off or giving or letting key players walk away.
No, that's a good points. Good points.
This is Mark Cuban's always been cheap. He's always been cheap, man. Think about it. A championship winning center, Tyson Chandler. You don't let that go. He went to the Knicks and became Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great double player. You don't let those type of players go. Mark Cuban did.
Sheesh.
Same with Steve Nash. Steve Nash went on to be a two-time MVP player. Jalen Brunson, Luka, bro. Like at some point, like fuck Nico Harrison, yes, but at some point you also have to look at it and say, "Yo, fuck Mark Cuban." This guy also has a history of making very shitty decisions when it comes to basketball and penny pinching. It isn't a new concept in Dallas basketball. He's done it himself. Like, bro, you tell me an owner who didn't pay Dirk Nowitzki his full-on money every time Dirk took a pay cut. Bro, you signed Tyson Chandler. You signed not Tyson Chandler, Chandler Parsons. The Mavericks were never a team that acquired big free agency in their lives.
Yeah, they didn't. That's another thing too. It was really just DeAndre. Was it DeAndre Jordan and even that backfired.
Bro, even he pulled out, man. Yeah, all it took was the Clippers. I don't know, kidnapping him in his house.
But at the end of the day, the Dallas Mavericks fandom is really nailed to the cross right now. It's being crucified. And it's being crucified by private equity and the new class of billionaire owners who have other outside ventures, other businesses, man, that they have to just, it's other outside ventures, man, for them to just pimp out this Dallas Mavericks logo. All that sweat equity Mark Cuban spent the last 20 years when Dirk was around, building up the Mavericks brand as being a brand of just consistently competing and just having that kind of competitive NBA franchise aura, is done. The minute he sold it, the new people that took over, you can see it. The dysfunction was almost like right away. It was like Luka went to the finals, and then how do you go from going to the finals to getting the #1 lottery pick? Like, this shit don't even make any sense. We've never seen
it doesn't
that
make
before.
any sense. And you know what's a shame about the Mavericks, man? Like, Cooper Flagg's having a really good rookie year, man. And it seems like, bro, unfortunately, due to, bullshit politics and basketball, storylines with Nico Harrison and Mark Cuban and the Dumont and the the Miriam and all those scandals.
Even his mother made a comment because of the booze. Like, is that bad? You could tell it's affecting
Bro, he doesn't deserve it.
Like, this is crazy, man. This is a complete. I've never seen an NBA franchise completely have a 180 like this after making the finals. Like, I've never
Bro, it's
seen
sad,
this
bro.
before.
Like I said, bro, I think what's going on with the Mavericks, bro, is a disservice to the fandom. And it's a disservice to the player, bro. Like I said, Cooper Flagg's having a great rookie year. Very impressive rookie year, man. He's showing out to be a really good player. Only 18 years old. Had a crazy 35 ball game against the Clippers. But now look at him, man. He's stuck in an incompetent franchise where nothing makes sense. Nothing.
Yeah. The biggest losers by far. I feel bad for the Dallas Mavericks fans. They deserve better, and they were set up to have really good basketball for the next 10 years.
Bro,
that team was good. That team was fucking good, man. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sick.
Bro, they were fun. The Clippers were fun.
No,
not the Clippers,
the
Mavericks were fun. You know what I mean? And it's a damn shame, bro, that, what the fuck can you do? It's a damn shame.
It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. But, hey, it is what it is. They're the new Pelicans of the Southwest, not because of the team on the court. It's because of the owner. I'm telling you. We're about to see this. We're about to see a whole new NBA and whole new crop of owners, especially if Adam Silver lets all this private equity come in the league. They're going to pimp out everyone's fandom to the point where a lot of fans might start getting turned off from the NBA in general. Like, that's the problem with letting private equity in. But that's how money hungry some of these owners are. They're not looking.
The league is money hungry, man. That's like the whole league is money hungry.
Yeah, that's how. Honestly, I think the NBA is actually more money hungry than the NFL. Is that they just never had the leverage to look like it. They just never had. They just never had access to the money the way the NFL does, because the NBA, at least the NFL, has always made their games available to everyone locally. The NBA has never been like that.
More grounded, man. I've always felt like NFL has always been more grounded than the NBA.
Yeah, the NBA is always reaching. Oh, now you got to sign up for a bunch of streaming services. It's like, it's always
Yeah.
been. Oh, we're on TNT. They were never on, like, it's just not accessible for kids. I feel
Like,
like a kid could turn on the TV and see, his local NFL team and see the games. They can't do
bro,
that.
even
There was
NFL,
never a
man, we
point in the
care,
NBA where that was the case.
like even NFL, bro. Like, bro, let's be honest. It's not an idea of like, oh, the New York Giants is the only team that matters, and everyone else is like whatever. You never see like it sounds stupid if you told like I don't know, oh the New York Giants, Kansas City Chiefs should trade Patrick Mahomes to the New York Giants because marketability and franchise and yada yada yada. You never seen that, bro, because it sounds stupid. If
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith were to say it about Patrick Mahomes or what else? Who else is a star? Lamar Jackson, even though his team kind of sucks. Any star QB, bro, you wouldn't hear those kind of talks. But the fact of the matter is, because the NFL has always been like presented as a middle class game where your father comes home, he drinks a beer and watch NFL. The NBA, man, with the media and kind of the players too, for the most part, has always been kind of a luxurious like presentation, despite it being a very simple sport.
Yeah.
Like, oh, market is this, market is that. The Bucks need to get rid of Giannis so we can play in a bigger market. It's unfortunate, but bro, that's how kind of the basketball is designed. That's how the NBA has been designed since forever.